So now that we understand the WIDA um, and the different components of the three different tests, um, I wanted to show you some of the information that you can find when you visit the state website for ESL Bilingual, particularly information regarding the students in the state of New Jersey that completed the WIDA access test. Here, the information is compiled just by like enrollment and how many students participated in the test in the state of New Jersey over the last 3 years. What I did was I divided the information the way you have your schools divided. Your elementary, based on what I read, is up to 5th grade. Then your middle school is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then your high school is 9th through 12th. And then it just basically shows you the number of online tests that were completed, paper tests that were completed. The reason you see higher numbers of paper tests in the elementary grades is because the writing component is paper-based, but once you get to middle school, high school, the writing component is computer-based. The kindergarten test is completely paper-based, which is why that number is higher. For the mixed mode, you're seeing it, it's mainly for alternate tests, so students who have an IEP. The same goes for 2017, 2018. I think the important thing to note when you see the totals, so what they did was they just added the online, the paper, and the mixed mode, and they were able to obtain this 75,025 number of students that completed the WIDA access for ELL tests in the 2016-2017 school year. What I did was I added this number just to show how much the population increased and over one school year. So 8,792 increased in one school year from 2016 to 2017. Same for 2017, 2018 school year to 2018, 2019 school year. The number fluctuated by 6,198 students that completed the WIDA access test in the state of New Jersey. Now, Hackensack Public Schools data, it's important that you know that the data I'm getting directly from the board meetings when they have reports and presentations. When it comes to WIDA access scores, I never received them. The superintendent or acting superintendent at the time received them. And then with the second, we have two assistant superintendents. They would compile the information and present it to the board. So we're going to start with the 2018. And like I said, this is the direct presentation from the board. And I'm going to go directly to the WIDA access data. So what they did was showed the number of students that were full-time bilingual students throughout the district, ESL only, and then parent refusals. It's important that I touch or explain what parent refusals are. Every district is entitled, or every parent in the district is entitled to refuse services. So once a child receives the WIDA screener, and you mail out this information to the parent and tell them that their child was by law tested based on what they wrote in their home language survey, The parent has the right to refuse services. If the parent refuses services, we provide a general education schedule to the child, but once a year for WIDA access testing purposes, the child has to be tested to check in on their language acquisition process. And then we separated, well, the data was separated, or the information was separated by schools. Fairmount is a school that only provides ESL, doesn't provide bilingual due to spacing in the building. It's a smaller building. On the bottom, you notice that it says, tier A, tier B, and tier C. The tiers represent the rigor of the test, of the WIDA access test. A is an easier test, B is a mid-level test, and C is the most difficult level test. And Hillers is the second elementary school, and those are the numbers of the students that participated. Jackson Avenue is our third elementary school, and Parker is our fourth elementary school. Fairmount sends their students, their bilingual students, to Parker, the first school I showed you. So here you see the numbers are larger, and that is one of the reasons. Then you have the middle school, and basically it shows fifth grade, how many fifth graders in which tiers, and sixth graders and what tiers they took. Same thing for seventh and eighth grade. Our middle school here in Hackensack at the time and still today is the fifth through eighth. And at the high school, it was divided by ninth and 10th, the different tiers, and 11th through 12th grade. The data that was provided does not really show the results of the test, but, and that was my first year of being a supervisor. So if we go into the next year's presentation, here we're able to see a little more information, but not too much, unfortunately. Here, basically, we go through the 4 elementary schools, middle school, and high school. So the most important thing to notice is the enrollment and how it drastically increased, mainly because the procedures that needed to be in place were not before, and proper screening was completed, summer testing was completed, coding in the system. We have Genesis. I think I read that you have Power Schools, but in the system, I will explain that in a little bit, how you identify and code students needed to be fixed. So this is one of the reasons why you see a drastic change in the number and enrollment from one school year to the next. And here, we basically are showing the proficiency level. So when they completed the WIDA access test, how many students were able to obtain the 4.5 score or higher throughout the whole district, and it was 6%. Unfortunately, in previous years, the data was not displayed this way, so I'm not able to really compare and show the growth for the target. So what this is showing is how many students showed progress moving from one ESL level to the other, or basically jumping from a 1.0 to a 2.0, which is significant amount of progress. So it was 39% of the ESL students in the district were able to demonstrate that growth. And then, as I was mentioning before, you could compare and see the numbers from one year to another, which I think was important to note. And then it was important to show the district the different programs. Like I said before, when you properly, when you have procedures in place and you basically clean up a system and you place students where they need to be. When I first started the position, full-time bilingual existed, but part-time bilingual did not. Sheltered instruction did not. Bilingual tutorial, parent refusals, things like that needed to be ironed out, cleaned up because a system needed to be in place that was not. So that is something that I take full credit for. And the data that you see from one year to the next is different because I was able to participate in the data. And then in the 2020 school year, 2021 school year, there was no WIDA access test because of COVID, and the WIDA access test needs to be conducted in person. It could not be a virtual test, so it was not provided to students. And so this is the Start Strong data. This is the first year of it. And what I wanted to show you was the different components. So these are the schools. They basically clustered the 4 elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. And the category I wanted to focus on was the English language learners and the total amount of students that took the Start Strong, and then the percentages of how they did. Unfortunately, the scores do show that the English language learner student is not performing at level. So 3 students out of the 71 performed at level at the elementary, which is only 4%. The majority performed in the level 1, which is they need assistance. Same thing for the middle school. The majority need assistance. Of the 148 that took the test, 115 need help and fall under that level 1. Only 11 were at a level 3, which is 7%. And for high school, again, there's 54 of them that were tested. 49 showed that they need assistance in language arts, and only 1 showed that they did not. So the numbers are not the best numbers, but data is what it is. Unfortunately, for the district, I'm not there to create and alleviate the problem for the 2021, 2022 school year and so forth.